FromSoftware has had a fiercely loyal following for years. Whether it's Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring, or even the Souls-like spin-offs from other studios. These games all share a common DNA: isolation, unforgiving challenge, and the slow grind toward mastery. They're deeply personal experiences by design. But while the journey is solitary, the culture around it is surprisingly communal. Souls fans find each other in the wild, whether it's at work or among friends, and almost instantly fall into war stories. What build did you use? That boss gave me hell. I finally got past Melania at 3 a.m. It's like this strange sort of trauma bond, and it's kind of beautiful. And in those conversations, there's always that inevitable line: wouldn't it be sick if we could play this co-op? It's a fun idea, the thought of teaming up with a friend to dungeon crawl through a Soulsborne world. But I never really took it seriously, because the entire Souls formula depends on solitude. You can't just slap another player into that carefully designed world without changing everything. So, how do you make a co-op Souls game? What gets sacrificed? What gets reinvented? I never thought FromSoftware would actually try it, and yet they did. They gave us Elden Ring Nightreign, a bold, fast-paced, roguelike twist on the game formula we love. It's fun, it's unique, but at the end of the day, it's not the co-op Souls game we deserved. So what is FromSoft's answer to the co-op Souls question? Well, the truth is, Nightreign really isn't a Souls game. It's a 3-player co-op roguelite wearing a Soulsborne skin. Each player picks from one of 8 preset characters and jumps into a 45-minute or so run. A frantic dash to gather loot, level up, and stack buffs before the final boss encounter. And when you fail, which you will, you regroup and try again. That's the loop. The response to this game has been mixed, both in the wider Souls community and right here at Freese Gaming. Terrell thinks it's kinda awesome, Riley kinda hates it, and me, as the wisest and most enlightened of the three, well, I've got the best take. Going in, I wasn't sure what to expect. A roguelike, co-op spin-off of Elden Ring felt like a strange direction, like trying to force a square peg into a very round, very Souls-shaped hole. And on paper, it's easy to be skeptical. Most of the content is recycled, the tone is wildly different, and the whole thing feels more like a fan-made mod than a true FromSoft experience. But here's the part I didn't see coming. I've been having a really good time. It's not elegant, it's not all that impressive, but it works. Somehow it works. It succeeds almost despite itself. It's a weird game. Let's break it down. So like I said, Nightreign is built around a series of 45-minute runs, each one an attempt to defeat a specific boss. There are 8 bosses in total, and before each run, you'll assemble your team of 3, select your target, and choose your characters. You can also play solo, but cannot play duo, which is kinda weird. If you have 2, you'll have to do matchmaking to find a third. Once you're locked in, you and your squad drop into the map Fortnite style. From there, it becomes a frantic sprint to clear as much of the area as you can. You'll fight through enemy camps, caves, take down mini-bosses, collect runes, pick up weapons, loot consumables, and find extra Estus flasks for healing. There are also sites of grace scattered across the map where you'll spend your collected runes to level up throughout the run. You're doing all this as fast as humanly possible. Why? Because again, like Fortnite, the map has a shrinking ring mechanic. If you don't move quickly, you'll lose access to large chunks of the map. The clock is always ticking. As the ring shrinks, you finish what you can and head towards the final showdown of the day, a tough encounter ending with a boss fight. These early bosses are often familiar faces from Elden Ring or other Souls titles. If you win, you move on to Day 2. Day 2 resets the ring and opens up the rest of the map, letting you clear areas you might have skipped the first time around. Survive that second day and you'll face the real boss, the one you signed up to fight. And these guys don't mess around. Now this game is fast, like weirdly fast for a FromSoft title. You've got an unlimited super sprint, the ability to hop up mountains with ease, super speed spirit streams that launch you across the map, and birds that literally fly you around. Everything in the design is telling you to move, and it works. The speed becomes part of the challenge. One of the most satisfying parts of Nightreign is actually the map, the planning, and the strategy. While the general shape of the world stays the same, the drop zones and camp placements are procedurally generated. That means every run plays out a little differently, and it forces real-time decision making. Your team needs to quickly evaluate what's on the map, what each player's character needs, and which camps or objectives to prioritize. If I'm running a faith-based character, I'm hoping to hit a church to grab some idols. But maybe my teammate needs a military camp to score a bow, and the boss we're targeting might be weak to fire, so someone's chasing pyro gear. These micro decisions, choosing what's worth chasing and what you're willing to skip, are where the game's strategy really shines. It's a tight puzzle with a strict time limit, and it rewards both knowledge and teamwork. Learning to read the map, understand the trade-offs, and adapt on the fly is part of the fun. It takes time to master and memorize, and it's a satisfying puzzle to solve. The class system in Nightreign is simple on the surface, but tricky to master. There are 8 preset characters, each with fixed stat distributions across the usual Elden Ring categories. But what really defines them are their unique passives, a primary ability, and an ultimate ability. Together, these shape each character's core playstyle. It works well for the game's fast-paced roguelike format, but let's be real, it doesn't scratch the same itch as the deep customization we're used to in Souls games. Even when you level up during a run, you don't assign stats. If you have enough runes, you just slap on another level and keep sprinting. Honestly, I barely even look at what stats I'd get. There's no time. I just know my character scales with dexterity and intelligence, so I'm hunting for weapons that match that. One interesting twist is that weapons grant passive buffs just by being in your inventory. So even if you're not using a weapon, it might be worth carrying for the bonuses. I mostly played the Duchess, who thrives on fast, repeated hits. If I find a weapon I'll never actually use, but it gives me damage reduction on successive strikes, into the backpack it goes. Then there are relics, collectibles you can equip before a run. You get to choose up to 3, and they offer minor stat boosts or mechanical perks. They're not wildly game-changing, but they do help personalize your build a bit. With the right combinations, you can create niche synergies, counter specific bosses, or just sharpen your team's strategy and give that slim margin of advantage in each run. So overall, Nightreign isn't about evolving your character. It's about understanding their identity and executing it within the unpredictable chaos of a run. It's streamlined, but it does limit the expressive freedom Souls fans usually love. Where the game really shines is in those final boss fights. These are, for the most part, well-designed, unique, and deliver the kind of difficulty Souls fans crave. They also happen to be some of the only content truly original to Nightreign, and it shows. These bosses are built from the ground up for 3v1 combat, and they really test your team's coordination. You'll be making split-second calls, pile in to interrupt a wipe mechanic, focus down an environmental trigger before it's too late, or time your ultimates to save a teammate. It's controlled chaos in the best way. It's a fragile balance. If one player falls behind, whether they didn't find good gear during the run or they're just struggling, it creates a domino effect, That one weak link can break the line, and suddenly the whole fight starts to collapse. What I appreciate most is that these bosses show FromSoft was actually thinking about how to translate Elden Ring's DNA into co-op. This is what I hoped for. A multiplayer Souls experience that doesn't just throw in extra players, but designs around them. These fights feel like the answer to that dream, at least in glimpses. But let's talk a bit more about the pacing, because this is where Nightreign really starts to stumble for me. Earlier, I mentioned that the map design and time constraints create an interesting strategic puzzle for teams, and that's true, but in practice, the game just doesn't feel that good to play at this speed. Teams are forced to blitz through camps and loot spots because success hinges entirely on efficiency. You're not thinking about positioning or precision, you're just sprinting and spamming. Most enemies pose little threat, especially for Soulsborne veterans. You dogpile a mini-boss, burn them down in seconds, maybe take a couple of hits, then chug an easily replaceable flask or get picked up by the weird revive system. I don't mind a faster tempo in theory, but Nightreign takes it too far. The game sacrifices the methodical rhythm that defines Souls combat and replaces it with something that feels loose and sloppy, like a speedrun without the finesse. Souls games, for all their brilliance, have never been praised for fluid movement or graceful mechanics. They're heavy, deliberate, a little clunky by design. And now this game is asking those same mechanics to operate in overdrive. It's like when I would take my old Jeep Wrangler and hit 80 on the highway. It rattles, it shakes, it's clearly not built for that kind of speed. Great car, but out of its element. That brings me to my biggest disappointment with Nightreign. Outside of those final boss fights, it just doesn't feel like FromSoft really tried that hard to build something new here. Almost all of the content is recycled. Enemies are lifted straight from Elden Ring, with the occasional Dark Souls mini-boss thrown in. The weapons, the spells, even the layout and architecture of most camps and buildings, they're all just copy-pasted assets repackaged into a roguelike format. And look, I get it. Some might say I'm criticizing the game for not being what I want it to be. But I don't think that's quite it. I'm not asking for a different genre or a totally different direction. I'm asking why. If you're going to do this, if you're going to make Elden Ring co-op and roguelike, why not fully commit to rethinking the design around that format? The systems work technically, but they often feel like a square peg jammed into a round hole. I keep coming back to the same thought. What if this had been new IP? What if FromSoft had gone all in on a roguelike with fresh lore, new enemies, new ideas built for co-op from the ground up? That could have been something truly special. So where does that leave me? I've just spent the last several minutes laying out a bunch of criticisms about pacing, recycled content, missed opportunities, and design that feels like it was bolted onto the side of something it wasn't meant for. And yet, I keep playing. I stay up too late on work nights. I tell myself just one more run. I boot it up even knowing exactly what it is, and what it isn't. And maybe that's the real mystery of Nightreign. It's a game that works despite itself. Riley, who doesn't even like the game that much, said something that stuck with me. I can't let it beat me. That one line might capture the essence of why this still feels like a Souls game, even when so much of it doesn't. That defiance, that refusal to walk away, the need to get back in there and defeat the boss that took you down, even when the game frustrates you. That feeling is still here. And while Nightreign might not be the co-op Souls game we deserved, there's something there. At the end of the day, I am not here to give Nightreign a very high rating. I just don't think it deserves one. But I also can't deny the pull it has over me. I'm addicted while simultaneously unimpressed. And that's kind of beautiful in its own broken, awkward way. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to support the channel. And until next time, cheers.